Hello everyone, I'm David Noebel.
And I'm Tim LaHaye. Welcome back to our series, Mind Siege, The Battle for Truth in the New Millennium. In our first two sessions entitled The Struggle of the Ages and The Rise and Fall of America, we introduced you to a toxic faith called secular humanism.
During this session, you'll see how humanists camouflage their beliefs behind the labels of philosophy, science, even academic theory. All this so that their militant views can be freely dispersed in our tax-supported school system. The truth is, humanism is a religion that has gained an unmistakable stronghold in our schools' approved curriculum.
Not only is the curriculum biased, but secularism has also been embraced and publicly professed by many of the teachers and professors working in the system today. We may never be able to truly calculate the damage that has already been done. We've strained out the gnat of school prayer and even prayer before a football game and swallowed the camel of a whole religious system through our school curriculum.
There is a battle raging in our world today. It's a battle of worldviews, the battle of ideas. It's a civil war over values, and the front lines are high school and college campuses.
I was brought up in a Christian family, taught the Bible, and then with school, high school and even college, you're taught evolution.
Not really interested in where we came from or where we're going. We're here for some reason, and if we're not, I mean, as long as we have fun, you know.
It's a battle for the hearts, minds, and souls of our students.
The truth is, there are no absolute truths. I mean, even God doesn't work that way.
Since there are no truths, you have to find your own way. Like, nothing is like concrete or set in stone. You know, because everything changes. That's the only thing that we do know is change.
Ideas have consequences. The false philosophies of key historical figures have radically influenced and altered the thinking of modern society.
I think it's more of the professor's role to challenge our beliefs, because we come here with a set of beliefs and we got to get rid of it.
It's our body, and if we want to hurt it or be nice to it, whatever, it's our choice, and no one should tell us what to do.
It's not easy to understand our times. With so many competing worldviews, how can we find the truth? How do we discern truth from error?
Truth to me is, what is truth to me? Well, that's a tough one. Maybe I'll have to think about that.
I don't think anybody really knows.
By teaching naturalistic evolution, ethical relativism, and political correctness, teachers are indoctrinating students with a secular humanistic worldview. For these educators, the mere acknowledgement of the God of the Bible is offensive. In 1986, Dr. Paul Vitz, a professor of psychology at New York University, was commissioned by the U.S. government to study the state of education in our public schools. He found that the secular humanist bias of many educators had erased God and Christianity from the curricula, and even from history.
Well, I did a study back in the mid-'80s on textbook bias, and I looked at grammar school textbooks. And the main thing to keep in mind is that they were very anti-Christian, but in a very funny way. They were anti-Christian, and particularly, I might add, anti-Protestant, by leaving out all references to Christianity. This was the common procedure. You omit it. You don't make nasty statements about it, but After all, somebody might notice those. But you leave it out. And by leaving it out, you're making the implicit comment that it's not important.
And as long as that Christian teaching continues to be ignored in every significant conversation, it begins to raise a question in a young person's mind. Is my Christian understanding relevant to anything? It's just left out of my whole education.
Thomas Sowell, a senior fellow at the Hoover Institute and author of Inside American Education, writes that while the organized secular humanist movement might seem to be a small fringe group, its impact on education is out of all proportion to its size. In the past, many doubters waved away such assertions by Witts and others as prejudices of an intolerant religion. Today, it is much more difficult to dismiss the assertion that secular humanism dominates the classroom. In fact, both Christian and non-Christian scholars now frankly admit that secular humanism is the only religion taught to American children in state schools.
I think most teachers, if you talk to them about, this whole idea of the clergy in the classroom, they would deny it. And they would deny it in all sincerity, that they don't understand their own worldviews enough to know how much of a product of humanism they are and how well that they're propounding humanism.
Through the strong influence of the organized minority, secular humanists have been able to effectively censor most of the positive Christian influence in the classroom. Recently, the biology textbook of Pandas and People, written by Percival Davis and Dean Kenyon, was effectively censored by anti-Christians in various school districts in Idaho, Alabama, and California. The reason? Of Pandas and People acknowledges the abundance of design manifest in the natural world, and thus reasonably postulates an intelligent designer. Yet when Carl Sagan and Richard Dawkins preach atheism to students in the name of science, they are rewarded for their contributions to public education by the top scientific organizations of their respective countries. Faith does not give way to lack of faith. It instead is replaced by a competing faith. Students in today's public schools are constantly being taught to replace a faith in God with what John Dewey would call the common faith, a faith in man as the measure of all things.
If they've been told to put their faith in themselves or put faith in the goodness of humanity, if they're told to put their faith in technology, that results in actually no faith and despair, hopelessness. And I think that that's what we're seeing, especially with the younger generation.
John Dewey, signatory of Humanist Manifesto 1 and the father of modern public education, believed that education and religion mix. He viewed public education as the vehicle to promote what he called a fuller and deeper religion, humanism.
He was really the godfather of progressive modern educational change. And created the world also in which certain ideas gained control in our legal culture as well, resulting in the series of Supreme Court rulings since the Second World War, beginning with the Everson decision in 1947, that ruled out of the public school and really the public realm, the governmental realm, any reference to particularist or transcendent religion.
John Dewey was responsible for what we call today progressive education, which is nothing more, nothing less than humanistic education. Now, he wrote a very, very telling book in 1934, which was 1 year after the first manifesto came out. He entitled the book A Common Faith. Today it's published by Yale University, and if anyone will pick up a copy, they will notice on the very back of the book that Yale University Press puts the word religion on the book itself. And what I want to do is just read his last statement on page 87. Here are all the elements, says Dewey, for a religious faith, and that shall not be confined to sect, class, or race. Such a faith has always been implicitly the common faith of mankind. It remains to make it explicit and militant. Now, of course, over the years, the humanists have made it explicit. They have written hundreds and hundreds of books on the subject of humanism. The group that's made it most militant, of course, has been the National Education Association. They have gone out of their way to make humanism the official religious worldview of our public schools today.
It's pretty incredible, isn't it? The assault has been so gradual, but, oh, so effective. In addition to the educational arena, we must turn our attention to other major organizations. There's no doubt that the influence of secular humanism is clearly evident in our institutions of government, law, medicine, psychology, sociology, art, the media, and even business.
Although this whole idea may be a little overwhelming, even ominous to some of you, the main tenets of secular humanism are quite easy to grasp. Next time, we'll break down the 5 major pillars that comprise this worldview. By understanding the specific beliefs behind secular humanism, you'll be taking that first important step toward countering its destructive forces.
Don't miss this important and powerful session. We'll see you next time.